The oil palm, the world's most efficient oil-bearing crop in terms of land utilization and productivity, is synonymous with the progress of the Malaysian economy. A single hectare of cultivated oil palm land is able to supply between 5 to 10 times more oil compared to rapeseed and soybean respectively. The Malaysian palm oil industry is a highly regulated industry. The government, working through the Malaysian Palm Oil Board (MPOB), ensures compliance with laws and regulations related to environment, land and pesticide use, labor, and protection of wildlife. Increasing concerns for food safety, the environment, and the continued prosperity of the oil palm industry are the drivers for certification to verify good practices. Initiatives such as Good Agricultural Practices and MPOB's Codes of Practice have been implemented to raise oil palm yield, assure quality, and incorporate best management practices. Together with stakeholders of the palm oil industry, MPOB developed the Malaysian Standard for Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil (MSPO). This standard sets down sustainability requirements which are reflective of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals of eradicating poverty and promoting inclusive societies. The implementation of the MSPO certification scheme, effective January 2015, takes the Malaysian palm oil industry from sustainability commitment to execution. MSPO is an inclusive standard which sets down guidelines for sustainability practices for independent and organized smallholders, plantations and mills. The oil palm industry promotes rural employment and income generation through the inclusion of smallholders. The Federal Land Development Authority FLDA scheme, introduced to provide rural landless farmers with land to plant crops like oil palm, is recognized as one of the most outstanding poverty alleviation projects in the world. Oil palm is cultivated on legally designated agricultural land and not on land set aside as forest and wildlife reserves and national parks. Customary and native land rights of indigenous people are also protected by law. With respect to existing oil palm cultivation on peatland, MPOB has recently developed the Unified Peat Classification System (UPCS), which provides for very precise characterization of different peat types and delineation of management groups. The increasing pressure for sustainable palm oil production, coupled with decreasing availability of arable land, has catalyzed research efforts to further enhance the productivity and utility of the oil palm across the entire value chain. One of the most landmark R&D efforts by MPOB is the successful mapping of the oil palm genome, which enables the mining of useful traits to help increase yield and thereby reduce expansion onto new land. The MSPO standard includes guidelines to minimize GHG emissions, one of the main causes for climate change. In the estates, practice of integrated pest management (IPM) using biological control reduces the use of chemical pesticides. Barn owls check the rat population in plantations. Fungi is used to control rhinoceros beetles, bacteria to address bagworm infestations, and beneficial plants are grown for natural pest control. In the palm oil mill, the release of the GHG methane from palm oil mill effluent is prevented by trapping it to generate electricity. Biomass residue from the processing of fruit bunches can also be used as an alternative green fuel in the boiler to generate steam. MPOB also addresses GHG emissions and the water footprint at different stages of the palm oil supply chain via the life cycle approach to identify mitigation measures to minimize GHG emissions and water consumption. The Malaysian oil palm industry approaches the use of forest land with the right mix of commerce, conservation and restoration. Unlike annual oil crops, the oil palm ecosystem is vibrant with a significant diversity of plants and animals. Malaysia supports numerous wildlife conservation projects such as the Sipilo Forest Reserve and Orang Utan Sanctuary in Sabah and the Semenggor Wildlife Centre in Sarawak, which safeguard the habitats of the iconic Borneo ape. MPOB and major oil palm companies have also initiated conservation efforts dedicated to protection and restoration of waterways, forest conservation, protection of vulnerable and/or endangered animals, safeguard riparian reserves for rehabilitation and reforestation activities, and studies on carbon stock and flora and fauna diversity. The Malaysian oil palm industry has done its best to ensure that conservation and development are complementary objectives that can be balanced through sustainable resource management, supported by a regulatory framework. We see oil palm, man and nature as a seamless whole, which integrates ecological agriculture, people and prosperity.